Hey folks, it's Kara here, and this is Dobie Joe, and we are going to teach you how to tune your dulcimer, okay? You're reading my book, the Dulcimer Primer, and we are on page 3, all right? I'm going to read through this to make sure that I cover all this for you. Mountain dulcimers come in all shapes and sizes. I play an hourglass-shaped mountain dulcimer. I have the ability to put 5 strings on my dulcimer, but I only play with 3 because I like to do a lot of fancy work, and it's easier to do it on 3 strings. You might have 4 strings, you might have 5 strings, but you're always going to refer to that as having 3 courses, okay? Some of you might have a bass string. The bass string would be here with a little tiny skinny string next to him. You're all going to have your middle string, and they're usually single strings, and then your melody string. Some of you might have a double melody string, 2 melody strings right together. All right, let's talk our way through this. Now, you can use your fingers or a noter to press down on the frets. We're going to get to that later on. Let's talk about tuning. You are in, and don't let this scare you, you are in what we refer to as DAD Mixolydian, Mixolydian mode. And that's just a fancy way of saying that you're tuned to DAD, all right? And that's the most common way to tune a mountain dulcimer, all right? Hands down. You can get a lot of mileage out of this DAD tuning, and this is why I teach it, all right? Now, here's what we need to know. When you tighten a string, the pitch goes up. So listen to this bass string, and I'm going to tighten it. Hear how I'm tightening that? And it's going up. Now when I loosen it, it's going to come back down. All right? Now, here's the most important thing I'm going to say to you today. When you are turning a tuner, always pick the string and listen to that string change as you turn the tuner. All right? One of the most common mistakes that we all make when we're just starting is we hit a note and we're hitting it and it's not changing, and we're cranking and we're cranking and we're cranking and it's not changing, and all of a sudden, kabam, this big bang will happen and your string will break, and it will scare you. It will scare the dickens out of you. Don't let that happen. If you're hitting a string over and over again and turning this tuner a lot, and nothing is changing here, you're turning the wrong tuner, okay? And the only way you're going to know that is if you're listening to the string, okay? The other thing I want you to do when we start talking about electronic tuners, when you're using an electronic tuner, and I'll show you how to use that before we're done here, but I want you to hit the string once, let the tuner think about what you're doing, read what the tuner says to you, and then make your adjustments. Don't go wow, 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 constantly. That tuner's going to go, I don't know what you're doing, I got nothing for you. And you will freak your electronic tuner out if you do that. So don't do that, okay? All right, so you tighten a string, it goes up. You loosen a string, it goes down. And you always want to pick it and listen to that tone change to make sure you're going the right way and to make sure you're on the right string, all right? Having one of these items on hand will make tuning your instrument a much more pleasurable experience. I write in the middle of the page here, a piano, a guitar, a pitch pipe, an electronic tuner. You don't have to have all those, but one or more will suffice. It's fine. And if you don't have any of those at all, you can always just listen to this video again, and I'll be giving you those pitches, all right? So that right there is your D string, your low D string in tune. So you should come back to this video if you have any questions and listen to what I'm playing right now and make sure your string, your bass string, matches that tone, okay? All right. Now, let's see what I go on to write here on the page. Match your bass string to mine, okay? Right now, boom, boom. And you might have to pause the video from time to time as you're doing this and as you're learning it. But this is what you want your bass string to sound like. If you have a guitar at home, your 4th string D on your guitar will sound just exactly like this. The D below middle C on your piano will sound just like this, all right? Or if you've got a pitch pipe, you'll be able to blow a D note and match it to that, okay? All right. Match your bass string to mine, or match to the da da dee da da dee da dee. We already said that. If you don't have a piano, guitar, pitch pipe, electronic tuner is an invaluable tool. Yada da yada da yada da. Step 2. Fret your freshly tuned bass string, the one we just tuned, that now sounds like this, on the 4th fret, and listen to that note. Okay? We want our middle string, which is an A note, to sound just exactly like that. And mine does. Listen to this again. Hear how they sound alike? Now let's talk about something really interesting. The 4th string on your dulcimer is what we call a wound string. And what I mean by that is it's a thin, plain wire with another wire wrapped around it. Okay? We call that a wound string. As you can hear my cat doing her reverse sneezing in the background. It's very pleasurable. I love it when she does this. Okay. Anyway, that kind of a wound string is going to have sort of a mellower tone. Okay? A string that does not have another string wound around it, an unwound, or also known as a plain string, will have a brighter tone to it. Okay? So it's the equivalent of going okay? I'm singing the same voice, or singing the same note. This one's much more muffled. Oh, this one's brighter. Same note. Okay? So listen to what we're doing here again. 4th fret on your bass string. Listen to that note. Now listen to your A string. See how much brighter that sounds? But that is the same note. Now if it wasn't, it might sound like this. There's my bass string. My A string is obviously what? It's too low. What do I need to do? If it's too low, I need to tighten it. And I'm going to hit it. And I'm going to make sure, I'm going to listen to the string move as I move my tuner. And I'm going to make sure I'm going the direction that I wanted to go, which was up. Okay, that's pretty darn close. I still hear a slight difference. Now, certain days I can't hear that difference. I'm not that critical. But to me, that sounds like it's just a freckle short, sharp. Sharp means it's too high. Okay? Sharp means a note is too high. Flat means a note is too low. Okay, I'm going to sign off on that. All right? So, we've tuned our bass string, and now we've tuned our middle A string. Now we need to tune our melody string, high D, and we're going to do that by, step 3, fret your freshly tuned middle string on the 3rd fret. Let's listen to that note. Okay? I'm going to change my melody string here, so we'll have something to work for. There's our note. That's the middle string on the 3rd fret. Now my melody string should sound exactly like that. Let's listen. There's my middle string. There's my melody string. Okay, here's my middle string 3rd fret. That's what I want my melody to string to sound like. But my melody string is what? Is it too low or too high? Listen again. And sometimes if you actually can hit pitch with your vocal and you hum these notes, you'll feel the difference as you hum each note. You'll feel your voice either go up or you'll feel your voice go down. So I'm thinking that my melody string is too high or sharp. So I'm going to lower it by loosening it. I'm going to hit it. Make sure I'm going the right direction, and I'm not. It just went higher, didn't it? So I was going the wrong direction. I only knew that because I hit it and I listened. All right, let's check it out. 3rd fret on the middle string. That's still a tiny bit sharp. I'm going to loosen it up a little bit. All right. All right, that still sounds kind of creepy. Sounds like I didn't quite get it tuned the way I wanted to. After you have tuned by ear, that's a good time to turn on your electric tuner. okay? And do your fine tuning with your electric tuner. So there's my D. Now the way this tuner works is I hit a note. I don't think it's going to show up there without it being attached to my dulcimer. But anyway, the note that I'm hitting will show up down here with a letter. This is a snark tuner. It's my current favorite tuner, all right? Snark tuners are meant to be clipped onto the headstock of your instrument, but I have a scroll top instrument and it won't fit. Any electronic tuner, you can just lay it on the top of your dulcimer, you'll be fine, okay? So when I hit this note, I look down and it says the letter D. And with this particular tuner, my goal is to get, there's an aqua stripe right in the middle, aqua or blue or green, however your eyes work, and I want that to light up. If it's red over here, it's flat and I need to tighten it up. If I go too tight, the yellow lights will come on and I gotta back it back up. All tuners are a little bit different, okay? But that tells me that that's a perfectly in tune D right now, okay? Now what if I picked my bass string and it said D sharp on it? I don't know if it still says that, but it says D sharp. Well, I don't want a D sharp, I want a D. So what I'm going to do is the very first thing I'm going to do with my tuner is I'm going to make sure the right letter is showing up. I don't want a D sharp, I just want a D, okay? Sharp, remember, is higher. So that means that D sharp is higher than the D. So I want to back my string up a little bit. I'm going to watch my tuner until it turns into a D. I still got that little sharp mark on it. Okay, there, now it's a D. Okay, so I lowered it and I got the right letter to show up. But now it's telling me that my D is too sharp, so I got to lower it a little bit more. There it is, okay? There's my perfectly tuned D. Here's my A string. Let's see what the tuner says about it. Okay, it is a little bit sharp. I'm going to back it up a little bit. My A string is a little sensitive right now, and truth be told, I need to change these strings. How do you know when to change the strings on your dulcimer? If they start sounding really muddy and the tonality is gone and they just don't sing like they used to sing, or if it becomes really hard to keep them in tune or to tune them up, that's another reason to change them. Or if they just start feeling gunky. Here's my high D melody string. My tuner is telling me that it's too high. I'm going to back it up. Now my dulcimer is in perfect tune, okay? Snark tuner, it's an invaluable tool to have. Any electronic tuner. You can even get electronic tuning apps to download on your phone. You can even get something on your phone. Some of them work great, some of them not so great, those phone apps, but you can experiment with them for free. Usually you don't have to put any money out. And again, you'll want to set your phone right on top of the dulcimer, okay? All right. Now, some of you might have some extra strings on your dulcimer. If you were a student of mine and you came in with 4 strings or 5 strings, I very well might take my wire cutters and go snip, snip. Like I said, I can have as many as 5 strings on this dulcimer, but I play with 3. It enables me to do lots of fancy kind of pull-off and hammer-ons and stuff like that. And that's why I play with 3 strings. The reason you would have doubled strings on some of these is because it gives it sort of a chorused effect, all right? Some people just love that sound. Some people would rather be like me and have the capability of doing really cool stuff on the single strings. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I am going to tell you how to tune those extra strings. If you have a bass string with a little tiny skinny string sitting right next to it, that bass string is a low D, and the skinny guy next to it should sound exactly like your melody string D. So they're both Ds, but they're an octave apart. Do you know what an octave is? If we had a piano in front of us and we played a C note here, and then we went up, boop, 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 and then we played a C note higher up here, that would be the difference of an octave. So if they're both C notes, they're just an octave apart, okay? So your bass string, D, and if you got a skinny guy right next to him, he should sound like that. And when you pluck them both together, they should sound like that, okay? All right. A strings are very rarely doubled up. If it is doubled up, I guarantee you it's 2 A's, but I'd almost guarantee you don't have 2 A's, okay? Should be there by himself. Your melody string, melody strings are often doubled up. If you have 2 melody strings, they should sound exactly alike. So it would sound like this as you strum across both of them, like that. So you want to tune it up to match your melody string. Both strings sound exactly alike. Okay, does that make sense? All right, that's a pretty quickie little version of how to tune your dulcimer, and you might have some questions. Let them fly. We are starting our adventure together with tuning this dulcimer. Dobie Jo has left the building. She has abandoned ship. She'll be here sometimes with us and sometimes not. When I see you the next time, we will be going over pages, I believe it's like 8 and 9. We're going to learn how to strum, basically. So your next video, we're going to start strumming our dulcimers. I'm going to ask you to study the note value pages. What pages are those? Page 2 is your dulcimer parts. If you have any questions about that, let me know. I'll help you out with that if you have questions. Okay, note values and keeping time. Page 4 and 5. I want you to read through those and make sure you understand them, okay? I'm not going to go over those with you on a video. We're going to jump right to how to strum your dulcimer, and we'll apply what we learned on page 4 and 5. I'll make it make sense for you. It'll be okay. All right? Hey, listen, we're going to really have a good time together. Be patient with yourself. Let the questions fly. You can find me on social media pretty easily. So let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to answer them for you. And I hope you have a good time with this. I'm thinking we're going to have a pretty good time together. All right, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for hanging out with me.